TF2 is a game built off of close range encounters. The spy has his backstabs, the pyro's flamethrower has a fixed range to it, and every other class has a primary weapon which features damage fall off and damage ramp up, encouraging you to stay closer to your enemies. Of course, Sniper is an obvious exception to this, and there are some unlocks which help bridge the gap for some classes. For example, the Pyro with his flare guns, which allows him to deal some long range damage. But it is clear the long range combat is not the primary focus for TF2, since weapons that have previously excelled in it have been heavily nerfed by Valve in order to make them not suitable for long range, such as the Ambassador. So the primary focus for TF2 is close quarters combat. Aside from Sniper, who is the only long range character, there's no one else that fits in between. There is no mid-range TF2 weapon. Everything is either close range or long range, with nothing in between. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to fix that, and with some combination of weapons, I'm going to find a mid-range TF2 playstyle. The Shortstop is not a weapon many people ever think of, Valve included. If we are to bring up its weapon card, it doesn't really tell us anything about the weapon, so I'll make a new one. The Shortstop deals higher damage for each pellet, fires faster, is more accurate, and reloads its entire clip at once. However, it has less bullets per shot, a lower clip size, and it reloads longer. And when you hold it, you take more knockback, which is kind of useful to get away, I guess. And of course, it has its amazing shove feature, which allows you to push back enemies a very small distance if you hit right click. Now, the stats that we care about is the 40% more accurate and the damage bonus. Simply put, the weapon being more accurate makes it easier for you to land more pellets for each shot, and the pellets themselves dealing more damage compared to the stock scattergun makes them do more damage at range, where you may only be hitting 1 or 2 pellets. So while your maximum damage at close range is lower than that of the scattergun, your average damage while shooting at mid-range will be significantly higher. And since this is a weapon for the Scout, the fastest class in the game, you can easily run away from anyone who tries to approach you, meaning that you can stay at this medium range, away from your enemies where they can't hurt you, but you can hurt them. On top of this, the Shortstop has its faster fire rate, which allows it to take out enemies quicker than any of the alternatives. All of these stats together makes the Shortstop the perfect weapon for mid-range play. It fires faster, deals more damage, and since you are Scout, you're able to maintain this distance with your enemies. But of course, there is some flaws with this playstyle. Simply put, you're still not doing a lot of damage. You still suffer from damage fall off after all. So even though you do more damage per pellet and you're able to hit more at a greater distance, you're not just going to be killing people like you're a sniper. If only there was some sort of weapon which boosted your damage and removed damage fall off. Introducing the Criticola, a lunchbox item for the Scout, which when consumed, gives him mini crits. But every time you fire, you will be marked for death for a short amount of time. Being marked for death means that you will take mini crit damage, and mini crits make it so that your weapons deal 35% more damage to the target, and also ignore damage fall off, making you always deal your base damage or ramp up if you're in that range. So instead of dealing just 6 damage for each pellet, you can now deal 16 damage for each pellet, which you have 4 of them, which makes your maximum damage at long ranges up to 64 per shot. And with its faster fire rate, you can shoot all of your clip in just about a second, which could theoretically deal 64 damage each time, times that by 4 is 256 damage. Now of course, you're more likely to only be hitting 1 or 2 of your pellets, but if you hit 2 of your pellets, that's 128 damage, enough to kill a light class, and if you're only hitting 1 of your pellets, that is still 64 damage from very far away. Now comparing this to the standard scattergun, Without any mini crits, each shot will do at least 3 damage, and with mini crits they will deal 8 damage for each pellet. The stock scattergun also fires at roughly half the speed of the shortstop, meaning that for mid-ranges it is significantly weaker in every aspect. So the Criticola might seem like the perfect damage solution, but being marked for death is no joke. If you mess up your positioning or mistime your push, you're incredibly easy to kill. Soldiers, demo men, any type of shotgun can potentially one-shot you. But this is where you need to use your speed and your extra range to your advantage. You need to stay on the move, poke at a distant target, and disengage the moment someone turns back to shoot at you. With this, you are playing a risky glass cannon role, and it punishes greedy play. And this is where the scout speed becomes your greatest asset. You're able to play just outside of most classes' optimal range. Soldiers will struggle to splash you, heavies can't rev fast enough, and pyros can't even touch you. As long as you're quick and unpredictable, you can keep enemies at mid-range, where your Criticola and your shortstop will be able to melt them down in seconds. Now, to really understand how powerful this setup is, you need to look at how mid-range fights usually play out in TF2. Most weapons are not designed for this range. They are all close range with shotguns, flamethrowers and melees. They all have a hard cap to their long range damage. The shortstop with the Criticola allows you to take chunks of massive HP away from enemies with every click, where the enemies to you are only able to do small bits of chip damage, which as a scout you can easily dodge out of the way, run away to a health pack, or just simply hold your ground. Now of course, there are a few weaknesses with this loadout. First of all, your high amounts of damage are limited to what the Criticola can support you with, and that only lasts for about 8 seconds. Plus with the time to drink it, you're left vulnerable, and if you're unable to find enemies in that time, you just have a significantly weaker scattergun. The total time it takes for the Criticola to recharge is 22 seconds, and it takes 1 second where you're left vulnerable to drink it. So all that means is you need to choose when to drink the Criticola carefully. Without the aid of the Criticola, you can really struggle to do any meaningful damage and to secure any kills. And poor usage of this secondary will lead to your own death. Now so far, I've only talked about your primary and your secondary. So which melee weapon should you use with this combo? Now there are 2 that stand out to me. First of all, the Atomizer, which gives you a triple jump in the air when you're holding it, and using this you can use extra flank routes, or you can use it to run away when you're in danger. You can use this to get to a space the scout can't normally get to easily, and you can then use the Criticola shortstop and snipe from an unexpected angle. And the other melee I would recommend is the Rap Assassin, which gives you a little Christmas ball which you can fire with right click. Then when it hits enemies it will apply bleed, and it deals a small amount of damage. This just gives you a secondary long range alternative to using the shortstop. If there's an enemy who's running away, you could launch the Christmas ball at them, and then the bleed could potentially finish them off. You could also use it to start a fight, throw the ball, and then finish them off with the shortstop. It just gives a bit of dynamic. Think of it like a mini cleaver. Now for the other melee options, the stock bat doesn't do anything for regular scouts. The Funnel Ball, you're not going to be going close to people, so that's useless. The Boston Basher, you are not going to be hitting people with your melee weapon, so the bleed on hit doesn't really matter. And as for the Candy Cane, the Criticola already makes you very vulnerable, and you're going to be playing from long range. Dropping health kits where you kill enemies when they're halfway across the map away from you is not particularly helpful. So there you have it, the mid-range scout. By combining the shortstop's accuracy and damage with the Criticola's mini-crits, you can carve out a unique space in TF2. This is probably just about the only true mid-range weapon you can find, maybe aside from the Huntsman. So if you do want to find a mid-range alternative, or want a new way to play Scout, why not give this combo a try? Did I get anything wrong? Disagree with my opinions? think I missed something? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video or found it interesting, consider liking it, sharing it, and possibly even subscribing. And thank you for getting to the end.